Okay, let's start the Kvetch. Welcome to the Progress Portland Wednesday Kvetch for, I almost said November, March 18th, 2026. I'm Kip. This is Kat or Keanu, whichever you're going with
Or
today. And
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan. I want to be Jackie Chan. Everybody wants to be. No, I want to be Bruce Lee.
I'm just gonna be every Asian.
That
We all look alike.
feels racist, Kat. I don't.
And on that note,
And on that note, thanks for joining us. And I was trying to think I could be Henny Youngman. Take my wife, please.
how has your week been? I know you were in California and you got to see that cool podcast that you talked about last week, but
Got to see Strict Scrutiny.
you also came back and brought a cold.
The flight back was a airline I won't mention on the air because I do want to fly on them again. But it was a commuter plane rather than a full-fledged plane, and I don't think their air circulation is up to par. But I stay masked the entire time except for the sipping on my gin and tonic because that's
That'll do it.
necessity. And I had a necessity gin and tonic on the flight down. You'd think I had been drinking already today, but I have not. But there was somebody in the back of the plane that sounded like they had the consumption, and I lifted my mask, drank, put it back on, lifted my mask, drank, put it back on, had some crackers, still came down with this kick-ass crud. It's just been knocking me on my ass. So today is the first day I feel more human, although I still have a cough, so I
Mhm.
might keep going off camera when I need to. So, and then this morning I was trying to fix my hair a little bit, and I'm like, 90s emo, let's do it. And then I'm like, oh, you need to see the Mike Nelson Morrissey clip from Mystery Science Theater 3000. That, by the way, the Kickstarter riff tracks got funded, and there's going to be 4 more episodes of Mystery Science Theater featuring riff tracks, which is a convergence of both of them. They're bringing Bees McKeever, friend of the pod. She's never listened to the pod, but she's a Facebook friend, back along with the whole old crew with Joel's blessing, and it'll be really interesting. And I'm so excited because that's my happy place.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun. I used to watch MST a lot too.
If you guys out there are not aware, they have the Forever-a-thon on YouTube that plays the same 40 episodes over and over again in different mixes. It's pretty much always on in the background because I need to hear Professor Bobo or Mr. Brain Guy or Dr. Forrester and Frank. I just need the banter in the background to keep me sane, except for when it's a Joe Don Baker movie, and then I just want to go eat rat poison. So
But why? The world is so happy right now and everything is, you know,
let's talk about the
awesome.
two main things on top of my mind, and then
Yeah.
let's talk about the things on top of your mind.
There's nothing in my mind. No.
What did was it Ellison, one of the tech bro billionaires, said that he has no preconceived notions, nor does he wonder about anything. So maybe he just makes decisions through his ass, I guess, and it impacts humanity negatively because ass thinking. John Oliver had a picture of Zuckerberg on one side and criminal Musk on the other side, and said if you merge them together, you get Peter Thiel with the Nazi face and the giant fucking ears. And
What?
I'm
Okay.
like,
I have a question. You're a guy, right? Maybe?
yes.
Okay. What is it with all the really slimy, shady, evil dudes having gigantic fucking ears? Do you
I think when you're evil, your head shrinks in the middle and your like my ears are very normal.
Yes.
They're handsome ears, I would even say. But they're also critical thought ears, like they're outwards, so they collect sound inward, and it doesn't overwhelm me, and I have enough cranial space to process multiple ideas and emote with compassion and reasonableness. Whereas you have a skinny fucking head and too much money and giant fucking ears, you just everything is noise to you, and all you can hear is what's in your own head, and you think you're right all the time.
Sounds like our mayor.
I was not gonna go there.
I did.
You would. You would. And, Mayor Wilson, do better. Come on, man. Anyway, let's talk about Sunstone Way. Let's
Ooh,
talk
go
about
go for it.
let's talk about the organization that manages homeless shelters and shelter beds for I forget how many years for the city and county, and their previous incarnation was hit up in 2021 or 2022 for financial malfeasance, and they got bought out or reconstructed themselves as Sunstone Way. And when their comptroller tried doing a whistleblower report on financial malfeasance, they got fired. Then, rather than being accountable or doing something positive, they said, "Oh, we're just shuttering the end of June." And
Mhm.
what I want to fucking know, Sunstone Way has contracts with both the county and the city. So when they went through their financial malfeasance problem 4 years ago or 5 years ago, where's the checks and balances where you know that these guys are bad actors, yet you gave them new contracts because they changed their name and didn't check up on anything? And now Multnomah County is under a budget crisis for the sixth time in the last 12 months. How do these contracts keep going out? How do people who are in charge of human beings' lives keep failing? And I don't fucking understand it. Where's the accountability for this, and how can an organization just decide to go out of business?
Well, yes. Also, it turns out that Sunstone Way had a contract in Clackamas County as well. And in 2022, like you said, Multnomah County auditor found the organization, which was then called All Good, overbilled
Okay.
the Joint Office of Homeless Services by $525,000 due to duplicated payroll and unallowable indirect expenses. And of course, now we have this whistleblower lawsuit that's going on.
For
So
the
no,
same
I
exact
don't know.
things, for the same exact things,
Yep.
for expenses that make no sense whatsoever.
Yep.
So they were audited, found out, and then not re-audited. How do you just I don't understand this. When I worked at the city, I got to see technical contracts that were related to the commissioner I was working for. And I saw that nearly all of the companies that we hired and rehired for new contracts had previously gone over budget and over out of over time of delivery. And I asked, do we grade them? Do we say three contracts in 10 years, each time they were over budget and didn't deliver on time, they have a D minus. Do we say we don't award them anymore? And they're like, no, we don't really grade them. It's kind of like tribal knowledge. Somebody might say, oh, I don't want to work with them again. But if they're already in the system, it's really hard to get rid of them. And I'm like, how is this a thing? How do we keep awarding contracts over and again to underperformers, incompetency? They changed their name, they hired a new face, and then put them back into business again. It's almost like calling something the Portland Development Commission that has multiple lawsuits against it, and just calling it Prosper Portland and hiring a brand new board that looks like a Benetton ad, and then saying everything's going to work out fine this time. I don't understand it. And it infuriates me because there are fucking people's lives on the line. This isn't a political game. I've been here almost 30 fucking years and nothing has changed intrinsically. Nothing.
Well, it's not that different than what we were talking about a couple weeks ago, where people will go away and come back and they're still a bad actor, or they have been caught. They were in the news. Some time goes by, and the next thing you know, they have an office space sharing with like the Old Town Community Association, like Kevin Dahlgren.
Yeah. No, that's a perfect example of what not to do, right?
Right.
Or people who are under investigation get to co-sign legislation. Anyway.
Right. So will we see the CEO Sunstone Way pop up in 2 more years under a new organization or as a solo some consultant, something, something or other, and still be operating under the same agenda or workflows or whatever the fuck they did.
I don't something I don't know. I know eminent domain exists for property. Can you take over an organization? Can you say
Uh,
I don't think you can,
not
but
really.
nothing should be closing. Portland should say, "We have expertise," add it into Central City Concerns portfolio. At least they have accountability, right? And they know how to do some shit right, if not a lot of shit right. It's better than these quote unquote nonprofits or what was the California organization that uh 2 of their employees murdered someone last year.
Urban Alchemy.
Urban Alchemy that has multiple lawsuits against it in California and now in
Mhm.
Portland. Why do we hire these people? I don't understand it, and there's no rational explanation.
We get fed a really, really nice one pager, and then whoever is in charge throws money at a problem because it sounds like this will be the perfect solution or it's going to be the magic wand, and they get swindled somehow.
There has to be accountability. It can't always just be Music Man or the guy that sold Springfield the tram in The Simpsons.
This speaks to something that we all do as a collective, probably because we're human. You follow the most charismatic person or you fall for the most exciting person. And then you find out that they do all these things. And it's one of those, oh, he was such a nice person. He seemed like the best neighbor. And it's like, bro was cooking people and eating them, whatever it is. But it's like we have this problem, and you can look back in history. Somebody's selling snake oil. Somebody says they can make it rain. Somebody says that they are starting a cult, and like how many people join it? And if it's not a cult, it's, I'm gonna start an activist group and everybody join it. Why do we trust our gut when sometimes our gut betrays us?
We should never trust anybody who's confident that they can tackle a complex problem just, "Oh, yeah, I got this. No problem. I can do this."
Mhm.
Even when I'm interviewing for a job and I do complex problem solving for a job, I'm like, I know how to talk to people, understand the problems, create the connective tissue, and come up with processes that will help break down barriers or make sure everybody's on the same page. And through an iterative, collaborative process, we can get somewhere new. Right. But I'm never going to sit there and say, oh, yeah, I got you. I'm like, I'm going to be your partner in solving this for you. People are like, nope, I got the answers, which is, I think, how we got our mayor. And I don't have it knowledge of Mayor Wilson doing anything in particular in the past, but it seems like with a lot of these agencies, they have bad histories. A lot of the leadership has bad histories. And I personally think very few people are irredeemable, but you don't put them back in charge of something. You put them in a position where they can prove that they've gotten better at what they do, but you hire competent people who say they have experience figuring things out. Let's go work together and solve this rather than here, you go do this. The folks that do the hiring, there should be a accountability process. There needs to be a review and there should be scrutiny on when contracts are handed out, especially if people's lives are at stake. And I would argue almost anything the city do, lives are at stake, whether it's the Water Bureau, PBOT, zoning, or fucking houseless services, right?
Mhm.
I don't understand the lack of accountability.
Some of it, gets hidden and with good reason because it ends up in your HR file. So then there just might be rumors on the street that so and so took $10,000 or so and so never shows up to work. So it's really hard in certain regard.
HR
So it's
files are generally private anyway. but
Right, so
there's no rem
how do you get the shit out?
somebody that's a great question. I don't know. If you're in public service, you're in public service.
Mhm,
I personally wish I had listened more deeply to some of the people who reached out to me before I worked for certain people,
mhm.
because what they were sharing with me was 100% true. And when I started speaking out about certain folks that I worked for, I got people saying, "Oh, you that's just sour grapes." And I'm like, "No, sour grapes would be I'm angry because I was promised this, right? That's sour grapes." For me, if I'm talking openly about somebody not doing or being whom they say they are, it's because that impact is fucking up other people's lives.
Oh, Kip, have some grace.
No. Fuck that. I have plenty of fucking grace. And I'm plenty fucking graceful.
I feel like I've heard that since I moved here in 2009. Give people grace, and it's like, "When have you ever fucking given me grace? Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, yeah, that's, clearly, I'm not charismatic enough to just be thrust into the forefront front of solving, social ills. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I need to say "fuck" less. Nah, fuck that.
No.
Anyway, yeah, it galls me, and that's why I'm just talking about it over and over again, that we're in this position yet again
Mhm.
of budgetary woes and malfeasance and dire circumstances, and it's exhausting. I can't imagine what it's like for the people living under, "Oh, I had a place to stay, now I won't."
Well,
Most
and
Go ahead.
the shitty thing is that when these things happen, it perpetuates the narrative of a homeless industrial complex, or it perpetuates the narrative that it is corrupt and should all be dismantled. Meanwhile, you and I have interviewed many people. You and Tim did a bunch on here who are really out there and trying to do the right thing. And this is some of the shit that they have to come up against, where it's like, well, your whole industry is this, that is whatever. And they're
Yeah,
like, not us. We're not taking those grants. We're not getting those contracts. We're not even eligible. And here we are, and we're bursting at the seams.
right.
Meanwhile, something like a Sunstone Way has millions that they just flush down the fucking toilet.
Yeah, and these organizations that we talk to, Outside In, Rose Haven, PDX Saints Love, Blanchet House,
Mm.
they all do great fucking work and have results, and they are still pretty much shut out of the process, and I don't fucking understand it. Here's the thing about the old system of government in Portland. If you had 5 people who were on, let's say we had 5 peacocks in the old system where they had both legislative and executive, responsibilities, you'd have far better results. It'd still be a disaster because legislators should not be CEOs and vice versa. But you'd have far better results because everybody is doing the right things for the right reasons to the best of their abilities, right? With the legislative aspect of it and a weak mayor city manager system, with too many layers of middle and upper management in the middle of it, they can still affect the changes that need to happen, but it's going to be slower. But at least there will be an accountability process. And if we're already 30 years behind the ball or 40 years behind the ball, that's X number of lives that are going to be caught in the middle of it.
Mhm.
Um, the one statistic that I learned that broke me during the Occupy season in 2011 was people came to occupy Portland because they really had nowhere else to go. And that encampment, while deeply imperfect, had 24/7 medical services. It served 3 square meals a day. It had a library. It had a security team. Was it perfect? No. Was it better than most of the other options people had? It was. 2 or 3 people, uh, it was claimed that they OD'd in camp. They didn't. They were OD'd in the city and were brought to the medical tent and saved because they couldn't call 911. They didn't
Mhm.
wanna wind up in jail, and they didn't wanna have a $10,000 hospital bill, and they were saved, and the day that Sam Adams sent Portland police in and social workers finally saying, we're gonna evict the camp in the next 72 hours and handed out these yellow notices to everybody. A 15-year-old girl OD'd. She survived, but Sam Adams used that as example. Look, a 15-year-old girl OD'd in the camp, right? She shouldn't have been there in the first place. No, but she was living in the streets beforehand, right? The reason she OD'd is because she finally had a degree of home and safety and community, and it was going to be taken away. And most people, this is a true statistic, most people try suicidal ideation or OD accidentally when they're going to lose their safety and security, when they're going to lose their home or whatever their home looks like. And I wrote a open letter that that OD was on the mayor's office because instead of finding these people solutions, there was just a eviction notice
And
and
creating more despair.
creating more despair and dispersing 500 people back into the streets. And
Yeah,
that's
because what
exactly
that
what
tells me is that in her mind, she didn't think it could get better than where she was at that moment,
exactly,
that
exactly.
she would go back to whatever she had and perhaps not continuing to live would be a better option. That's similar to when, enslaved folks were being taken over, and instead of ending up here, they chose to starve or throw themselves over the
Throw
boats
themselves over, yeah.
because it would be better to die than to endure whatever was laying ahead.
That's the trauma that is perpetuated month to month with all of these closures, malfeasances, whatever. That's what we're talking about, and that's why I'm angry. I'm
Well,
angry
people are
because
getting punished for having the status of being not financially, whatever you wanna call it, cushioned. So either they get punished by getting arrested, by being cited, by being pushed into these congregate shelters, or they get punished by an organization that has somehow fucked them over.
and, same thing with the, transitional housing that had Legionnaire's disease.
Jesus Christ,
They were
yeah.
trying to move people out of it, and some people were like, "I'd rather risk dying with Legionnaires than be homeless again." In the previous Kvetch or the one before it, I mentioned my friend who lost her job at Port of Portland because she was homeless, briefly went to a congregate shelter, but was constantly sick or late to work and or missed work because of just everybody there. She couldn't sleep at night. She got sick constantly, and she was just ragged at the end. The only solution is to put people on housing. So I think my challenge to city council is what the fuck are you going to do about this? And let's get Shannon Singleton in office as county chair. And Shannon, I think you're an amazing person and you've got all the right skills, but we need leadership and we need to make it happen.
And we're gonna scrutinize her once if she gets into that position because there's gonna be power plays on both sides.
Yeah. No, if you are in a position of power and you can't handle truth to power and scrutiny, you
Step
should
down.
not run for office. Get the fuck out of the way and let somebody who can do it do it.
Mhm.
But you can't go and hide like most of our leadership does. You have to be accessible, you have to be honest, and you have to be willing to say, you know, this isn't working. Let's bring in the people who can change this. Like, if we're going to fix downtown, you don't bring in the same people that broke downtown yet again. We just did this with the governor's blessing 2 years ago. Guess what? Downtown hasn't fucking recovered. So why would you bring in the same fucking people?
You know, I used to go, well, and occasionally I still do, to a 12-step meeting, and one of the things that they say there is that you can't fix your problems with the same fucking head that broke them. In
Yeah,
other words, you can't fix your shit you're alone. You need outside help, and it could be a paid therapist, it could be going to 12-step, it could be something, but, like, you really cannot it with the same mind that got you there, it's not gonna
yeah.
get you out.
The way to get out of it, which is many friends have gone through 12 steps, and some of them said, 8 steps. I fast forwarded, and some of them were like 142 steps. I keep fucking up. Whatever it takes, take some steps. But it's always been somebody who's already been there before and
Mhm.
somebody who knows how to get out of that whole parable. Why'd you jump down into the hole with me? Now we're both stuck And the answer is, "I've been in this hole before, I know how to get out of it." And if we don't start listening to the people who know how to get out of the hole, who know how to solve the problems, don't start leveraging that knowledge, experience, and passion, nothing is ever gonna change, and nothing is changing. Intrinsically, nothing is changing.
Which
And
brings up the question, do we actually want change? I do,
uh,
but
I do. I think most of the people 37 who listen to our podcast do. I'm kidding. It's more like 64. It's more than that,
now it'll be
thankfully.
65. No.
Now it'll be
Uh,
65. We just pissed off somebody, and they're like, "I'm gonna listen each time, and I'm gonna hate listen."
did you
Mm.
realize, by the way, and then we can get back onto your other kvetch because I know you had another one. Future Portland follows us.
Do they?
Oh yeah, Vicky Payne.
Alright, Vicky. Shout out to you, man. Hope you're sharing with your frenemies because 'cause they're probably our friends.
65 listeners now. No.
65 listeners. Now it's 64. She's like, "Fuck."
Now it's
Um,
62. Oh shit,
Now
no.
it's 62. Like, the numbers are going down while we're talking, even though it's not live. How'd that happen?
It's worse
No,
than the stock market.
that's really the only kvetch I have is that I can't get this out of my head that here we are yet again, right? Like, we've learned nothing, nothing has changed.
Oh, I do wanna ask you because I know a number of us missed the PSEP meeting last week because we were at the PDX Saints Love Gala, which was fantastic, phenomenal. There was a PPA negotiation on the agenda. Do you wanna how'd that go?
It went fine. Apparently the city has agreed to open up the conversations and deliberations to the public before we even talked about it, but our ask was to have PSEP facilitate them
Oh,
and
I like
host
that.
them. And the other ask that we had, was to codify this process so that each time it comes around, we don't have to fight for the same things that we did previously. Like 2019, it was as transparent of a process as it had ever been. And
Mhm.
then they just bailed on all of that this round. And they were supposed to do it last year, but they pushed it out a year for some reason. I don't recall the reasoning behind it, but the city did say, "We will have a more open process, and we will have community listening sessions," but
Okay.
they were tentatively all gonna be at the Portland building, which isn't particularly accessible for most of Portland, and they were going to be facilitated by somebody, I don't know whom actually, and PSEP had, asked that we do the hosting and facilitation as part of our process because that's what we're supposed to be doing. Which, by the way, we are also, I think it's official now. We are now severed from the settlement agreement. So, Judge
Okay.
Simon reviewed the articles up for severance, and I know for a fact that we are now severed. I don't know about the Mental Health Association and drop in clinic articles if they've been severed yet or not. Our work continues regardless. Our next meeting is on the 25th of March. Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Our topics we have many updates for our update section. We will be talking about what the city is doing to engage with the county to address the challenges that were raised in the settlement agreement around interacting with people who are in crisis and with having mental health challenges. The only available 24/7 center is Unity,
Mhm.
which is not necessarily the only solution that should be out there. So we are pursuing a conversation about that based on feedback from the amici and the Mental Health Association of Oregon. And then we will also be talking about the directive 1010.10, I think, which is the in custody death directive that they're making major changes. You can go Google Portland Police Bureau directives, and you can see the second universal review agenda, and that'll likely be the main topic of the next meeting that we have. So
Okay.
we are still moving forward with hopefully codification in May, if not sooner, or at least it'll come up to city council. And those are some of the very small, lightweight topics that we've been working on the last month or so.
Um, I am noticing that the CBPA meeting is also on the 25th, so you seem to be on the same schedule. You had it first. PSEP had it first.
We did. Yeah, we have the same constituents, essentially the same public, and having them scheduled for the same night is just patently stupid.
And if I have to choose, I know where I'm going, but it's like, man, how can you
Why are you
get
gonna go to
people
CBPA instead of us? And because you wanna bring dinner. You wanna bring dinner. I know you do. You wanna feed, make sure everybody has snacks.
but it's like if we want a city that is active, that understands what's going on, if we wanna get people activated who have been like, "Hey, I wanna volunteer, what do I do? Where do I go?" It's like, if you have to choose, how do you do this?
Yeah, and CBPA, when they are up, running, and functional, are going to be looking at individual cases as opposed to overall policy.
Well, what are you gonna do for St. Patrick's Day?
Oh, you can see I'm wearing green. I feel a
Oh,
little
okay.
green.
Alright.
Um, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day, Ms. Mahoney?
I might watch The Commitments, actually.
The Commitments?
Mhm.
What's the
You've never
commitment?
seen that movie?
What's the
Oh my
commitment?
god. What are you doing? You don't have a job. Go watch The Commitments today, too.
What's the commitment?
You should watch The Commitments. I think you might like it, especially for the music parts.
Okay. All right. I'll see
You
if I can
know?
sit on my ass on the couch for 2 hours. And
Yeah. I don't remember what channel it's what, streaming network it's on.
speaking of, one more thing to throw out there that is a positive, tonight and tomorrow night, Tommy is playing on IMAX. Tomorrow night, it's, Bridgeport. I bought a ticket for Bridgeport, and then I realized I can't go. So if anybody wants it, hit me up before 6 p.m., 5 p.m.
Stop buying tickets to things you can't go to.
I'm really bad at it. I'm really bad at it.
Tommy, I haven't seen that since I was a kid.
There are some really deeply problematic things about it, right? In today's lens, but it's such a brilliant fucking rock opera.
The one scene out of Tommy that I remember is when he's little and they're telling him, "You didn't see it, you didn't hear it, you didn't speak," and they say it over and over again, and they're, like, holding his head and boxing his ears.
Yeah, and he becomes mute and blind and,
Uh-huh.
deaf.
Yep, and it was like, "Oh, oh,
For
that's
all
what families do."
for all the problematic parts of it, it was done in a genuine way to talk about trauma
Yeah.
and capitalism. It's such an amazing fucking movie.
We should one day just talk about, like, different TV shows and movies because
I'm
I know
down with that.
I know you have to go in a minute, but I've been watching the Marvel movies in order by scene, not just by movie order.
By time of
Timeline,
place.
yeah. So it's like Iron Man 2 is happening, but so is the Hulk, and whoever this fan cut put it all together.
Wow!
So it's 50 hours of the movies up to Endgame. There's that scene, from Age of Ultron where you learn who Wanda is, and she's there with her brother, and they're watching TV with their family, and they put in, like, the Dick Van Dyke Show, and they put in the DVD, and then the bomb hits, and the whole family's dead, and I was
Such a
talking
stunning sorry, go ahead, yeah.
yeah, no, it was, and one of my friends was like, "That's what an alcoholic's home is like. Everything's fine for, like, you're watching TV or you're eating dinner, and then boom, something just fucking happens,
Yeah.
and you just never know, and then it's like, well, how do you do this? And then hopefully you get another half hour, and then boom, something happens, and it was really funny. I hadn't thought about that till she brought it up, but when I was a little kid, The Muppet Show was my half hour,
Yeah.
and then boom, something would happen. So one day we will talk about TV shows.
Muppet Show, we could definitely go down that road also.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about movies and TV
Star
shows and
Trek
how
and
they
Twilight Zone was my counterparts.
like, we should dive into some of this.
I love yeah, we'll find a name for it. I'm not clever enough yet. I need some lunch and then,
Alright,
alright.
alright,
Thank you.
cool.
Good talking, good kvetching, good TV talk.
Progress Portland is also on Facebook and Instagram, and we have event listings and updates on our website, progressportland.org. There's a content form on our website if you'd like to help out or have questions or comments. Our theme music is by the Portland band Helvetia.